Hello and welcome back to Uncle Venom's Books and Whiskey. So today I'll be tasting for the first time Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, artfully aged by the James B. Beam Distilling Company. Small batch. Sweet brown sugar, black pepper, charred oak. Finish dried fruit. Let's see if that holds. You can definitely get the sweetness in the nose. Dried fruit. I can see that. Not getting the black pepper, but there is always room for disagreement. Very smooth. That's delicious. Watch me enjoy this. This is probably the smoothest bourbon I've ever tasted. I have not tasted a lot of bourbons, but this is definitely the best of the bourbons that I have tasted. I get a hint of the sweetness. I can definitely get that fruitiness. I'm still not getting the black pepper that they're saying is there. I like this. I like this a lot. And I think this is a very good pairing. Let's see what else this has to say about it. Founding distiller Frederick Booker No. 1992. And there's the appropriate government warning, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. Claremont, Frankfort, Kentucky, which I believe is required for it to be a bourbon. It's got to be made in Kentucky. Very nice presentation. Little bronze waistband. I don't know what we'd call that. Very nice. Go back for a little more. Very nice, very nice. Definitely don't need to water that down. The flavor is very good without opening it with a splash of water or anything like that. No need to put it on the rocks or anything of that nature. Okay. Let's move over to the book. The Quiet American by Graham Greene is a novel that takes place in Vietnam in the mid-1950s, a time when we were not particularly involved. The French were involved. After World War II, we provided troop ships so that they could move back into Vietnam. And there was the conflict as the Vietnamese were struggling for independence from France, which led to our involvement in the 60s, our full involvement in the mid 60s to early 70s, and to our pulling out in the mid to late 70s, and now we have very normal relations with them 50 years later. In the novel, the main characters are a Mr. Pyle, who is the quintessential quiet American. The narrator is a chap by the name of Fowler, who is a very typical, cynical British newspaperman, and a young woman named Phuong, who is Fowler's lover, and Pyle falls in love with her. Pyle's purpose for being there is he is sent to kind of get a feel for what's going on and what we can do. He was there to kind of create a third force by arming native populations, pulling together maybe some mercenaries, and kind of creating a force to fight those locally who wanted some sort of freedom from the colonizing French. This was kind of an extension of American policy, which was not fully fleshed out at the time. And this is reflected in his attitude towards Fong. He immediately falls in love with her because she is beautiful. He perceives her as innocent, even though she is the lover of this cynical English journalist who claims he's going to leave his wife for her. And he begins to insinuate American policies on what is taking place in Vietnam at the time. Fowler, the Englishman, gets upset with the fact that this American is coming in here, throwing money and arms in the hands of people that don't have it, and is causing huge loss of life, prolonging conflict, and interfering where he doesn't think they really belong. And this leads to conflict between he and Pyle, which is played out in their... It's played out on two levels. On the personal level, in their relationship with each other, and on the personal level with Fong. Pyle wants to marry Fong and take her to America, and Fowler wants to stop her and maintain his adulterous relationship with her. I don't want to give any spoilers because this is an excellent short book. It's 175 pages, so it's a good book to pick up and read. If you feel you don't have time to read or you're too busy to read, this is a good one to pick up, and it won't take you too long to read. So I would encourage you to pick up this book. It's kind of a thriller, kind of a spy story, kind of political espionage, and kind of a personal love story. It's got a little bit of everything. It's one of Graham Greene's masterpieces. It was quite controversial at the time because the cynical Englishman is looking down his nose at the naive American, and it's kind of how the British viewed the American interference in international affairs after World War II. Of course, the British role was becoming much smaller as the American role was becoming much larger, and they did perceive Americans as naive, and in some ways we were, and in some ways the British were unaware that their role was diminishing, and our role was growing, and neither role was particularly enviable or admirable. We were both despicable on some levels and both ineffective on many levels. The French left Vietnam. We eventually left Vietnam, and Vietnam did very well without any of us. It did much better without any of us, and probably ended up where we would have wanted it to be without our assistance. They are now a pretty basic market economy kind of country without having our shit hanging over their head. Basil Hayden, Kentucky Bourbon, excellent whiskey. Graham Greene's The Quiet American, excellent novel. Thank you for joining Uncle Venom's Books and Whiskey. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. And always remember, drink responsibly and read irresponsibly. Thank you very much.